By David Otto. He's the director of the Geneva Centre for Africa Security and Strategic Studies. Thanks very much, David, for joining us here on TRT World. Tell me, how likely is it for this agreement to pave the way for lasting peace in the country?
Yes, of course. This is another good move by the Qatari Doha government after what we saw with the negotiations with the Afghan Taliban government. But of course, let's focus on Chad. Again, this is a deal that had started since in March. We had about 300 people attending, representing about 52 groups. Now, what we've seen today is a signature for a pre-talks, that has been signed by 40 groups. But remember, one of the main key groups, known as the Front for Change and Concord in Chad, FACT, they call them, they have declined, to sign the peace deal, saying that certain conditions have not been met. They talk about lack of equal representation, a new interim government needs to be formed, and they also mention the fact that those who are part of the interim government, should not be, some of them, of course, should not be part of the new administration. They also talk about a change of the constitution and the freedom for some of the prisoners that have been held hostage, as they call it, by the Chadian government. But it's a good step, but more needs to be done.
Now, David, while all the stakeholders have agreed to this deal, I think it's fair to say that there are still many concerns among them, many disagreements among all the stakeholders. So tell me, what do you think these stakeholders need to do at this point to sort of reconcile their differences so that this deal is not violated by any stakeholder?
Yes, you're right. We have to be very clear that not all the stakeholders, again, as I mentioned, the communique was published today by the FACT movement, which is the main group, saying that as long as all the conditions have not been fulfilled, they will not join the peace dialogue, which, is earmarked for this month. But I think the Qatari government has been playing a very key role. Instead of just being a facilitator, they've played a role as a mediator. But let's see how this goes on, because, of course, this will be a very giant step. We saw how influential the rebel movements were, and they were accused of being behind the killing of the former president Idris Deby, whose son now, Mohammed Deby, has taken over. But this is a good move. If this deal goes forward, if all the groups are included within the peace deal framework, and of course, again, there are so many ifs, if there is a proper follow-up on the implementation, then perhaps, we can see some level of way forward. But just signing the deal or just signing, an accord to move forward towards peace negotiation, it's not in itself, a 100% peace deal. We have to see how committed and how some of these guarantees, can be secured by countries like Qatar.
All right, David Otto, thank you very much for talking to us here on TRT World. Really appreciate it.